Hey guys, very good evening to all of you. Welcome to the video number 416, and today we are actually going to explore a new function which I recently actually learned, and it's a very nice, very powerful function which is called the STRCOMP. COMP, right? Comparison, string comparison, and this is something which we will learn, and I'm also going to combine the loops with this function so that we can make it actually a very strong code with the help of this function. So welcome to the channel, and my name is Ajay. Just in case if you're watching the channel for the first time, you are watching this channel which is dedicated to all those professionals or all those people who want to be awesome in Excel, VBA, MS Access and Access VBA. So what you need to do is, I'm just going to take your 15 seconds, go to the the main page of this channel and be a part. Do subscribe to the channel, and you can watch 45 amazing playlists on Excel, VBA, MS Access and Access VBA, right? So these are all the different playlists, guys. Now, since in this video I'm going to talk about the VBA function, so you can learn other functions as well in Excel VBA. What you need to do is you just need to find it out here, a playlist called Excel VBA Functions, right? So let me show you. This is the one, guys, Excel VBA function. So here, when you click here, you get to see here 21 amazing videos. Now if you're a beginner, if you're looking for how to create your own VBA functions, which we call UDF, user defined functions, there is a video there. When you click, the title would say that how to create your functions basics, right? So we have the videos on the VLOOKUP. I had uploaded the videos on the day and the time functions, and of course how to use the VLOOKUP in VBA using the loops, and there are a lot of things. I don't really remember. 21 videos are there, so just go and enjoy. And now in this video we are going to talk about the, as I said, string comparison function. So it is a very good function, you should know that. So in order to explain you what I will do, I will go into first of all the Visual Basic. Now here we are going to write this function. So first of all, I'll start with my macro. Let's say we give it a name called function strcomp. This is a VBA inbuilt function, guys, right? This is not going to be a user defined function. I mean, I'm not going to create it by myself. It's already there. It's already available in the VBA. So now first of all, let me tell you what exactly how it is. How you when you want to compare the two strings, different strings, and you want to check whether they are equal or not, you can use this function. For example, if I just write here, let's say val1 equals to, let's say, apple, right? And then, oops, I'm so sorry, I was just kind of using this code. It's like the VB language, Visual Basic. In the Visual Basic, you write like this. So, but this is VBA, right? This is not VB. So I'm gonna, let's say, suppose create val2 as well as string, and then what we're going to do is, I'm just going to write here val1 equals to apple, and then I'm going to create val2 equals to, let's say, orange. Okay, now what I want to do is, there is one more variable which is I'm going to define as result as string. So what I will do is I want to do the comparison. So I will write here result equals to, then you write the function which is strcomp string comparison, and this is what you have to do. So what is your string 1, guys? It's val1, right? It should be compared with string 2, which is val2, and then you have the binary compare, database compare, and the text compare. I'm going to talk about the binary compare here only, right? So you write here the binary compare, and now what we are going to do is, so if you just go and write here, let's say, the if condition. So if I say that if the comparison happens to be true, then this function strcomp comparison will return 0. So you say that if it is so, then message box should come and it should give me the match found. Okay, and just in case if it is not, then what it can do, it should see that else message box match not found. For example, this is what we need to do, and then finally you can close the if function, right? And I think there is a typo mistake here, let me correct that. So when you run this, this is how it's going to run. So we have apple in the val1 and we have orange. So this is going to be compared now using the VB binary compare, right? You can see here it also says equals to 0. You can write here 0 as well. So the moment the apple and the orange is going to be compared, you know that the value of the result will not be 0, right? It's going to be -1, right? Because it is not equals to. So you get to see here -1. So automatically you will go in the else match not found. So that's how you can use this in doing the comparisons. If I just go ahead and I just change the, change this to apple, if I run this again, now you get to see that match actually found, because the comparison is happened, and this is how actually it works. Now I'm going to talk about this binary compare as well. Now guys, if you look at this, now when I ran this, you know that we got the answer as match found. Now let's say if I'm just going to change the case of this, let me just write it in the lower case, right? So A is in the capital but the PPLA in the small letter. So if you just run it, it should again show you the match found. But look at this guys, the result, it's not gonna come as 0, it's gonna come as -1. So -1 basically it's found not equals to. So this is the case sensitive part. So if you are actually doing the comparison where you actually looking for the exact match, then I think you should not use this. You should use this VB binary compare, and it's a very good the solution. It's a very good formula, because then you don't have to use these the upper and the lower the formulas, because if you know that in the Excel we have this uppercase, right, which converts everything in the upper. So if I just write here, let's say my name is, for example, I just press enter, you see that it gets converted into this, right? Similarly in the VBA also you have this uppercase and the lower, so you don't have to worry about that. If I just go and use the lowercase, you get to see the lowercase. So in the VB also we have the uppercase and the lowercase, and I think it's not exactly written as upper. I think it's maybe I think yeah, like this. So uppercase for U case, and for the lowercase you write LCAC, right? So you don't have to worry about that. If you're looking for the case sensitive part, then you should use this binary compare, because now apple is not going to be equals to this apple. That's a very important part. Now just in case if you're not bothered about it, if you're really not looking for at this criteria, that it doesn't matter as long as the spellings are same, it doesn't matter, it should be in capital or lower, it doesn't matter, right? So what you can do is, instead of this binary compare, you can use the another form, and I'll show you. When you press comma, this is the the last one. Forget about the database compare, we are not here to talk about that, right? So you can use the VB text compare. Now when I'm going to run this, look at this, what will happen, you will get to see the match found, guys. So here you have a different case. This is the uppercase, this is the lowercase, but still you got the match found. So this is the basic difference between the text compare and the binary compare. So choice is all yours, right? Now I think you have learned about this. Now let's go ahead and let's see that practically how you're going to use it. Now I create another module, and let's quickly start the code. So this is for you. If the string 1 is equals to the string 2, this function string comparison will return 0. You just saw that when the strings are equal, it was returning 0. And this is if string 1 is equals to string 2 is less than string 2, then the string comparison will return -1. So basically guys, you never, I don't think so you will be ever interested in knowing that which string is greater than which the other string, and which string is lesser than the which string. So that's something, it's bizarre. I don't use it, right? I never used it. So you just need to learn. Only the important part is that if they are going to be equal, the string is going to give you 0, otherwise it is going to give you back -1. And that too with the VB text compare, the case sensitive part, and with the VB binary it's going to be how it is going to work. So for the VB text it is not case sensitive, but with the VB binary compare it is going to be case sensitive. So that's something you should know. That ideally I should have not written those lines, but when you Google, you get to see both these three different results. But this is the more important, that if the strings are equal, then you can it should give you back 0. And in the 0 also, then guys, you have the option VB text compare and the VB binary compare. Now what actually I was talking about is that now we want to use this function string comparison. So what I want to do is, I want to run a loop. We should go pick up this 3000 from the sheet 1 and it go in the sheet 2 and do the comparison and finds where exactly we have got this 3000. and once it finds the 3000, it should pick up the score from there, which is 55, and then similarly it should go for the next one and the next one, right? So that's something we are going to write here. So it can be done in using the arrays as well. I mean, there are a lot of options, right? You can use the VLOOKUP as well in the VBA, but we are going to talk about this str comparison function. So I just go ahead and I write check values. That's what I'm going to write. Now in order to run this the code, what I have to do is I have to run this loops 2 times, right? So I'm going to make a loop in a loop, so sub loop in a loop. So this is a perfect example. This is not just only going to talk about the str function, but you will also see that how to basically we can combine the 2 loops. And by the way, if you do not know how to use the loops, there is a playlist on my channel, Excel Vba loops, and you can go there and you can find there I think 14-15 amazing videos, the basic videos on loops, the extreme advanced videos, the intermediate level videos, everything is there. So I'm going to start from here. I declare my row as long, and I'm going to start the row as true because my first value is there in the row number 2, and then I just write here the big loops. For example, the big loop equals 2, then I'm going to start with the 2. Let's say I want to run this how many times? Well, I want to run this 4 times, right? So that's how. Or maybe you can just write it 1 2 3, that's okay. So I'm just going to write here 1 2 3 because I have only 3 values, right? So this is the bigger loop, this is going to run in this way. And now what is the next thing? In this loop, each time it runs, it should actually go and find out this 3000 in the sheet 2 by going to each cell one by one, right? So this is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, so we have to run this loop 7 times. So 7 into 3 makes it actually 21. So here I'm going to write small loop, let's say small loop. So I just write here small underscore loop equals to then 1 to 7. Right, you can make this dynamic as well if you are wondering that every time you have to change this 3 or 7. No, that's not the way. You can calculate the last row using the control up arrow command, right? That's very simple. I leave it to you. So what we are going to do is we are simply going to use the comparison. So I'm just going to write here a variable. So let's declare here a variable called, let's say, val1 as string, and then there is another one which is going to be we are going to declare this that as val2, which is as string. Okay, now what is the val1? So the val1 has to be equals to, so I write here that the val1 has to be equals to, you please write the sheet name. I have a sheet 1 here, so it has to consider from the sheet 1, and it should go in the cells, and the row number would come from the big loop. Okay, that value, right? Because when the loop starts, the big loop is going to start with the 1, so obviously this is going to make it 1. So but I think in the 1 we have employee ID header, so I'm just going to add 1 to it, and then the comma, and the column would remain as 1, right? So this is going to give you 3000. Perfect. And here then what you will do is you will do the comparison. Okay, so here you will write val2 equals to sheet, then in the sheet 2 it is going to pick up the value from the sheet 2 cells, and then we are going to write here small underscore loop. Again, it has to be +1 because there also it is on the second row, right, and on the first column dot value, right? Now this small loop, that when this loop is going to run 7 times, this small loop keeps on changing. It is going to incrementing one by one, so this keeps on changing. But the comparison when we're going to do with this val1, this will not change as long as this loop is going to run, because this loop depends upon the small loop. Here the big loop is not going to be incremented, right? So that's how I'm going to write it, small underscore loop. So now here what I will do, I will simply write we are going to do the comparison. So I just write here my comparison, this is my own variable, let's say equals to, then we're going to use this STRCOMP function, and the string one is going to be val1 and then val2. Well, this is a number, so there's no case sensitivity thing, so you can use whatever you want. I just use the binary compare, right? And then what I will do, I will simply write that if my comparison is going to be equals to 0, then what should happen, then from that the sheet 2, so from the sheet 2 sheet and then sheet 2, from the cells small loop plus 1 and the comma 2, because I'm going to pick up that value from the B column, right? That should be equals to what? That should be equals to this value. It should be equals to this one, the big loop. Let me just write it, big loop, and the plus 1, and yes, the second column here as well, but you need to change the sheet name. Okay, so I'm gonna write it sheet 1. Okay, the moment I run this, you will understand it. So just have patience, my friends, and I'm going to explain you. Don't worry about it. So there we go, that's the code, and let me increase the width of this, or maybe I can just close this. Okay, and just in case if nothing happens, then as usual, end if, right? So that's how your loop is done, and I have to see before I run it. So here the comparison will happen, and you're gonna say that if my comparison is going to be zero, which means that if this val1 and val2 are equal, then what should happen? It should actually pick up that particular row, right, which is going to come from this small loop and from the second column. So basically in this case it's going to pick up this 55 and it's going to actually right here. Okay, I think this is going to work. Alright, so let's go ahead and let's try to run this. So this is your loop, guys, in front of you. So let me go and start. Okay, variable not defined. Alright, so I think we forgot the variable, so let me declare big loop here as maybe byte, because I know that it's not gonna exceed 255. So similarly small loop also, let me declare, I don't know why I actually forgot that. That was very important step, and I think my comparison should also be there. So I'm going to declare everything in one go, and my comparison is going to be obviously byte. That's it. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this, guys. There we go. Alright, so I got the R as to remember. So this is the loop is gonna run first time. So the val1, when it is going to run, it is going to pick up this 1 plus 1, which means second row in the first column of the sheet 1, which is 3000, right? So I get here 3000. Perfect. Now the loop is going to run, and this val2, it should pick up the value from the sheet 2, which if I show you, it should come as 4000, right? So this is already 1 and I have added 1 to it, so this should give me 4000, as you know that. Now this comparison overflow. Alright, so we're getting here something very interesting. So why we're getting here overflow? Alright, so overflow, guys, overflow when you get the data type which you have given to your variable that cannot hold that value. It's a very good error. So I know that what actually mistake I have done, because you cannot actually you're using here val1 and val2 as 4000 and 3000. So I think you should this my comparison, which we are actually talking about here, we should change this to integer. Okay, and if I just now go ahead and run the code again, let's see what's gonna happen. So I just go and run the code here again. Alright, you can see that I got the answer. Now you know that this is -1, so this val1, 3000 and 4000 are not equal, so obviously we will go in the else and if. Now the time for the next small loop. So the next time, now what happens, this val2 again will change. So now we have it 3000, guys, right? So this is already 3000, this val1, because I am not changing the val1 is still there, right? Because unless I go in the next big loop, my val1 is not going to be changed. I hope you're getting this point, right? Whereas the val2 will keep on changing, because val2 actually directly is linked with the small loop, and small loop is going to change one by one, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So now this time I have here 3000, and this time this is also 3000, so my comparison is going to follow. And finally what I would see is on this big loop, this big loop, which is right now 1, so 1, this plus 1 makes it 2, and on the second column, so here I should be able to see the value which is there in my the sheet 2, which is again going to be the sheet the row number 2, because this small loop actually is 2, and 2 plus 1 will make it 3. So if I just go and see that, you see that on the row number 3 I have here 55 on the column 2, right? Row number 3 and the column number 2, and that's why I have written here comma 2. So I should be able to see my 55. Perfect, right? Now let's go to the next. Now next again the val2 is going to be changed. So this is now 2000. You can see here that this is now 2000. So I'm just gonna run this quickly because now the match will not be there. So it every time it goes, it should go in the else. As you can see here, if is going in the else mode. Quickly let me run this. There we go. Now finally the turn for the next big loop. So now the big loop is going to be 2. So here I have already said 2 plus 1, which makes it 3. So now the value in the third row and the first column is what? Is 4999, and guys, now again we are going to do the comparison from the scratch. So this small loop is going to be, taken by this cells small loop as 1 plus 1 will make it 2. Now the val2 is 4000, as you already know that this is 4000, right? So I think 4999 would come here in the last. So let me just quickly run the code, and it goes here else, and there we go, else. And now let me see what is it. Since the val1 4999, okay, still not there. Now it's 4999, there we go, right? So once we have got that, let me run this, and there we go, you got the 334. Is it correct, by the way? Yes, it's correct, guys. All right, now the last time the code is again going to run similarly. So 2044, I think it's not there at all. So naturally when you run this code, it's not gonna work, right? So every time the comparison with this val1 and val2, whatever the val2 is coming from the sheet 2, it's not going to meet up the expectations, and this is how the loop will run. And let me run this quickly. Every time you can see that it's going in the else mode, right? It's not executing, and finally the loop is over, guys. That's it guys, that's it, right? So this is how you can actually use this function, right? So I thought, let me first give you understanding on the basic part. Once you understand the function, I know that you will be looking for some real example, the case study, right? And because I learned this recently, I saw someone's code, and I was really very fascinated seeing that, because I never actually saw this, and I really felt I would say that kind of surprised that in my this VBA journey, this is a long journey. I mean, I have been doing VBA for so long, but I never actually bothered to see this. In fact, I was not even aware that this is a function which you can use in VBA, but now you know that, right? So if you're a beginner, I would say that you are much faster than me because you have just learned it in your these beginning days. I know I was not able to learn it, right? But anyways, it's learning is a never-ending process. You always keep on learning the things. Never think that I have learned this, now it's my goodbye from this particular language or whatever. I mean, you're doing, it's a never-ending process, guys. You keep on reinventing yourself, keep on looking for the different options, never get satisfied, right? So with that said, I will be back talking something more interesting on the Access VBA. Until then, guys, you take care of yourself, and please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. Stay fit and have a fantastic learning.